What's going on, everyone? Shalon Winter here. Another trade recap, and today is going to be for July 29th, Tuesday. And if you're watching this today, or you may be watching this another time, but if you're still watching this and it's either the 29th or really close, these markets have not been the most favorable. I've done actually pretty good, but for a lot of newer traders, you could be getting chopped up right now. And this week, particularly this week, there's a lot of news. We have a lot of earnings coming out. We have a lot of news. We have FOMC tomorrow on Wednesday. We have NFP on Friday. Earnings releases Wednesday, Thursday for all the big, Meta, all the big Apple, all the big basically companies that's going to move NQ. So there's a lot going on. So you need to be really, really, really careful. So with this trade today, actually it wraps up my month, July. And I'll go into, I'll have my trade recap, my monthly recap put out here towards the end of the week. And you'll see, I had a rough start to the month. And actually, you're going to see why I'm going to preach money management. To me, is the top thing you need to focus on when it comes to trading. Yes, you need a strategy. My three rules are: you need a strategy or an edge in the market. Number one. Number two, you need a strict money management plan. And number three, you got to have the discipline to follow number one and number two. But if I had to pick one, that money management, I'm telling you. So I started off the month pretty rough. I won 2 out of my first 6 trades, but my averages, they average out. To end the month, I won 8 out of my last 9 trades. So, and one was a break even. So, but anyways, we're not here for that right now. We're here to talk about my trade today, but also I say that because we have so much going on. And this is the daily chart right here. So if you look at this daily chart, and if I zoom in, I mean, just look at this every day. Look at these candles. I mean, that is not like very favorable days here. And if you look at it, these daily ranges, and I hinted on this one of my last trade recap videos, look at these daily ranges. They are not very big. And this, look at from the Thursday the 24th here. Look how small these candles are. So with candles these small, I mean, do you think a move is coming? A big move is coming at some point? Yeah. Like, we're trickling up, right? But man, just got to be careful. That's all I got to say. We got to be careful. All right, so I'm going to go into this like I normally do. Every day I come in, I want to, so this is the evening, so the market already opened, right? So this is the day right here. This is the day. So immediately, right off the bat, I noticed this volume imbalance. Mind you, so it's not a fair value gap. It is a volume imbalance. So I'm just going to put VI right here, volume imbalance. So this is a daily volume imbalance. And then there's another one down here. So I immediately see that, and I'm like, okay, are we going to trade down into that, or are we not? Chances are I know eventually we're going to trade down into these volume imbalances. Price typically, especially on the daily chart, does not typically run too far away from these volume imbalances before at least trading down into them. Typically, okay? That's not what I want to do here. So you got 2 of them here, okay? So if you look, if I measure this or put this one out here as well, you see this bar created the volume balance. This next day we traded into it. We didn't trade all the way through it, but we traded into the lower half, and then we came up and closed. So today, as you can see, we traded down all the way through it, basically. But to start off the day, obviously, so we had the open here, and you can see the long wick. But at the time of the market opening, we were just above the previous day high here. All right, so that's what I was looking at. I immediately see that. So naturally, I know we're at all-time highs, but because this volume balance, I'm like, I'm anticipating a move down into it. I just have to. Then I jump down to the 4-hour chart, and as you know, I like to go into trade replay because I like to cover the bars that we can't see or wouldn't see at the time of trading. All right, so this is what I would have seen. As I said, we're above this high here. I see that we had a 4-hour fair value gap right here. I'm like, okay, I take note of that. 4-hour fair value gap. Of course, we still have this new week opening gap right here. We had that. We did trade all the way through, and then we came up, took this high, leaving a 4-hour volume bound fair value gap here. So I'm kind of like, okay, do we come back into that and go up? Like, what do we do from here? Don't really have too much information yet. So I go down to the 1 hour. And let's see, what time is it here? Okay, same thing. Let's go back a bar here because we would be at about right here. So immediately, first thing I notice, well, we have this fair value gap right here. 1 hour fair value gap. Okay, cool. And then there's some more down here. Some more fair value gaps in this. And I'll just go ahead and mark it out here. Mark both of these 1 hour fair value gaps. Say, okay, well, this could be kind of key right here. This 1 hour fair value gap, if we could trade through it pretty easily, we're likely to head down to this 4 hour fair value gap and probably down into this volume balance. And as you can see right here, we have some relative equal lows. So there's some sell side liquidity there at under previous day low. So yeah, I know price can keep going up, right? All-time high, but at the same time, right here immediately, I'm like, all right, this is a key area for me. So what is this? Around, let's see, what price range is this? Around 275 into 554. Somewhere in that area, right? It's a key area. So now let's jump down to the 15-minute. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and select a bar, actually. Oh, I can go forward a little bit here. Because, there we go, 9:15, that'll work. So immediately I go down to this 15-minute chart, and I want to see what is obvious. As you know, I always talk about that, what's obvious. So I know the volume balance down here, right? Which is going to be those relative equal lows that I was talking about right here. So that to me is already obvious. That's the most obvious. I'm not looking further down because not right now anyways, because that's kind of far, right? Like I only trade a small session in the morning and that's it. It's not as likely I need to be interested in this area down here. So for now, I'm just like, all right, this right here is what's obvious to me. We'll see if we can get down there. Now, again, we have, this 1 hour fair value gap. We have some other things to look for in this area. But my job right now is I'm just looking what is obvious. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty far down there though. So, maybe instead of focusing here now, let's look at this dealing range that we have going on here. Because this is all-time high, right? All-time high. And we took previous day high already. So are we going to have a sweep? Potentially manipulation, run some buy stops, and then a run down. It's kind of what I'm leaning at. But at the same time, like I said, this 1 hour fair value gap is going to be a key area for me to watch to see if we can get down below it. So now since I kind of had that, well, also, hold on. Before I jump forward, let's look at the levels here. Previous day. So, yep. So that was yesterday afternoon session. Right here, right? PM session low. That created relative equal lows. Then I could see right here, we left the Asian low, the Asian session right here. And then we left the London low here. We didn't take any of these lows. And then on the long side up here, we took this Asian high, this Asian session here. We took this London session here. And now we're just leaving. We have a pre-market session high and a pre-market low. So I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and mark that. Kind of take note of that. Pre-market low. And then we have our pre-market high, which I still need to save that template for that pre-market high. So I'm just going to put pre-market high. And I just kind of take note of that. All right. So, and then I know right here, this is my London low. Right here. This is my London low. So then I'm going to take this off. And now what I want to do is I want to zoom into this dealing range that I just mentioned. So if I zoom in a little bit here, we have this dealing range. And right here is, make sure you can see it. Yeah. Right here is the low. Those relative equal lows. Okay, we moved up, moved up, moved up. And here's the high. So what else could be obvious? Well, for me, I'm looking at this area right here. Kind of like an internal range liquidity. This area, and we kind of have this area right here too, where it's an area of smoothness, right? And then, of course, down here. So this is going to be the ultimate sell side liquidity I'm looking at. And I'm looking at this as an internal range liquidity in each of these. And here was a bit of a buy side liquidity, right? Relative equal highs right here. And then you can see right here in the pre-market high, this wick, what did it do? It just ran that out right here. Now, obviously, this is before the open, right? So we got to see what happens after the open. So, but I'm looking at this like, oh, well, it kind of delivered nicely. Maybe we'll see another buy stop run at the open and then a run down here, at least to here, probably down to here, to this 4-hour fair value gap. And then, you know, from there, it may keep going down into this volume bounce. However, you know, if you've been around here a little bit, you know I take the low-hanging fruit trades. So if I'm targeting anything, my target would be here. And also, if I take this low right here, mark that as my buy side, sell side liquidity. I mean, that's relative equal lows right there. All right. Then of course you have more further down. So I'm kind of like, all right, that's my bias. That's what I come up with. All right, that's what I'm looking for. So if price opens and just runs down, then maybe I'll look for just a little pullback long, but probably not. But if the market opens and just runs long and never comes back, I'm not taking trades. So I already know I'm basically looking for a short on this day. In my opinion, a short is where it's at. And here is kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking for a bit of accumulation up here above previous day high. And then I'm looking for the manipulation up to distribute down. That's pretty much what I was looking at here. So some accumulation here, right, above yesterday's high. So at the open, I want to see a run up for the manipulation, then distribution down. That's basically what I was looking for. So now we jump down to the 1 minute. Okay, and we also had an opening range gap, which was below. So let's go ahead and fast forward here a little bit. And we opened right here. Here's the open, 9:30, and look at that, shot up. Taking pre-market high. And let's see. We had an opening range gap here, so I marked the open, 9:30 open of the candle right here. And I marked the close, which was down here of the day before, the RTH session, right? So now we have the opening range gap. So I'm like, oh, even nicer. We have an opening range gap down. Kind of further gives me more confirmation. And look where the midpoint of it is right above that London low and sell side liquidity. Kind of just more confirmation that I'm looking for a short. So with this big shot up there, I'm just waiting for price to continue. Because here's the thing. Typically when I'm looking at manipulation, right? Looking at the manipulation. Like let's say I'm expecting it to manipulate high, long, and then come down. When it is going up, what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for somewhere to have a draw on liquidity for it to go to, right? That's what I'm looking for. Some type of draw on liquidity. And that draw on liquidity could be, what could it be? Previous day a high. It could be a higher time frame. Fair value gap. It could be, previous week high. I mean, there could be a lot of things. That's what I'm looking at. That's what a draw on liquidity is, right? And typically, that's what I'm looking for price to reach to. And then I'm looking for my short manipulation down, my setup, all that good stuff. But when we're at all-time highs, where is that draw on liquidity? You don't know. We don't know. There's nothing up there because we're at all-time highs, right? So, you just got to wait. And at that point, whenever I have that and prices going up, I need obvious displacement to the downside. So if price is coming up like this, right, I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to just look here and say, we have a market structure shift. Here's a fair value gap. We're going down. This is what I'm going to look for because I want to be sure price is actually coming down. This is what I'm looking for. That's more so what I'm looking for. Obvious displacement. And let's say we have a gap here. And it could come all the way back up here first and then continue down. I need obvious displacement to be sure that it's coming down. So let's fast forward here real quick. And I just want to show you price. See, price went up, 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 up. Now, we do have here an inversion. So, if you've been around at all, I've always said this. An inversion is going to be my first sign of a potential market structure shift. And I say potential because that's not always the case. Because we do have this big gap down here, right? Price, we don't have a market structure shift. But this is my first signal of a potential one. If the days that I'm crystal clear that we just hit a draw on liquidity up here, I have a clear target down here, right, that I'm going for. At this point, I could just go short here. And I don't even need a pullback. I don't need a fair value gap or anything. And I'll just go short. However, today, what did I say? There is no draw on liquidity right now. How do I know it's going to stop here? I don't know for sure. Nobody knows for sure. And I don't care what nobody says. Nobody knows that for sure. So with this pullback, this could just be a pullback. If price is going to remain bullish, we could pull back even to this fair value gap. Pull back and then just continue up. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen that. Because there is no, down here's the last swing on this 1 minute chart. So this could actually all come all the way down here and still not have a bearish market structure shift and continue up. And there was nothing on the other time frames, like the 5 minute, 15 minute, or anything indicating to me yet that we're going to actually go down. So what do I have to do in that case? I have to wait. Now, what I was kind of wanting to see here is maybe price would come down, to this area and stop somewhere here, pull back, respect this, create a swing right here, and then come down through this swing with a fair value gap, come back up and do this. That's what I was kind of hoping for, but let's fast forward it and show you what actually happened, okay? We do have this little gap right here. So again, this would be a good entry. I did like this entry and I considered taking it. However, we do not have an actual market structure shift yet. Nothing wrong with this entry. Nothing wrong with it. And I would normally take this entry because we have another inversion right here. Fresh fair value gap right here. But like I said, no actual market structure shift, and we did not have a drawn liquidity. So I just personally can't go short here yet. I just can't. Would have been a great trade, but I can't. So then let's see what happens here. Look at that. Look at that. Shot all the way down. So remember what I said, though? That this area right here is going to be a key area to me. If price can get through it relatively easy or not. Well, look how price just shot all the way through it. Right? That's pretty easy, if you ask me. It's pretty easy. So it put up no resistance. Even if it bounced around here, it really didn't put up too much resistance. At this point, we're so close to that sell side liquidity, that London low, this 4-hour fair value gap, everything below the opening range gap low. We're just so close to this stuff that I'm like, at this point, here's our manipulation. This was our manipulation up. We're going down now. So here, as you can see in this view on the 15-minute chart, here's our accumulation. Here's that manipulation up. And then look for distribution down. Very clear to me. It's very clear. So now I just have to wait to make sure I get in at the right time so I can have the right stop and all that good stuff. Okay. So we come down. And we'll get to my entry here in a second. Actually, I'm clicking the wrong button. Here we go. Okay. And I was looking at this fair value gap right here. I was like, okay, we have this fair value gap right here. Let's see what happens. Let's get there. And we tapped up. Now, mind you, we had 10 a.m. news. Pretty big 10. It was Jolt's report. So big 10 a.m. news. And at this point, I'm like, I do want to short here, but we have 10 a.m. news in a couple minutes, and it's likely to really make this market move. It could. A Jolt's report. It didn't, but that was my thinking. So I'm like, at this point, I got to wait until at least 10 a.m. This would have been a great short right here. This would have been a great short. But we were so close to that news, I was like, let me wait. So then at 9:57, we got this fair value gap, and I told myself, if this becomes an inversion, we're definitely going down. And as you can see, became an inversion, and then we got this little fair value gap right there. And I'm like, yep, that's going to be my entry. If we could take these lows and come back into this one, that's my entry. So it took those lows. Now I was waiting for it to come back to this one. This fair value gap. And then we created this little one right here. And I said, oh, crap. If this is going to be bearish, it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't invert this one. It should just go short from here. So I got in right here. And my stop was up here. And I ended up moving it up above the midpoint of this fair value gap here as a precaution. And then... yeah, it kind of pulled back, and it took a while, but it ended up going. So that was that. Now let me pull up the actual video. That way we can see that versus me just going forward here on this. Okay, so here's the video. And all right, let's play it. So here's that. We're about to see that little gap that I was talking about. Right here. We'll see that form here. Let me fast forward again a little bit. In about 10 seconds. See, I'm marking it out here, and I'm like, all right, I am ready to go short in here, even though I preferred to be up here with that inversion and fair value gap. But I'm like, yeah, I don't want it to just run off. So I waited for a second. I'm like, yeah, let's see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get short here as it starts rejecting. So I get short, and actually, you can see I get not that great of a fill. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to target this new week opening gap right here in this 4-hour fair value gap. Because if we get down here and take these areas, we're likely to head there because we're likely to go and close the opening range gap and go all the way through that volume balance. So that was my thinking. So I got in. So now let's fast forward. Got my same PA numbers that I've had for over a year. My live account here. All of that to show for the transparency here. Okay, it started off good. And then we got this. And I was like, oh, all right. My stop's in a good position. I don't care what happens because, that's why I put my stop in a place that I want out that invalidates the trade, which was right here for me. And like I said, I ended up moving it up just right here, just in case if it wants to take this and come down. But then with this here and this that shot down and these that came right back up immediately, I was like, oh, crap. If that's all the liquidity that it needs, which I still don't believe it is because we have too much down here. But if that's all that it needed right there, this could potentially be a bullish order block. So I'd be watching around the midpoint of this to the opening right here and see how price reacts there. So I do that. And I'm like, I still like the short no matter what. I'm in the trade and I'm going to just hold it. But still, I want to see. And I never really cut my trades short or anything like that because I like to stick with my money management plan. But you can see it dip down into here. And then it kind of went up. And I was like, oh, man. Now, I was thinking in my head, if we close above this area, that could be it. I could be done for. But it don't matter. I'm just going to sit in it. And if it hits my stop, it hits my stop. So then I'm like, okay, I like this wick and close down. Let's see what happens here. Came back up. I have this volume balance that I marked out right here. And I want to see it close underneath it and then be able to not trade back above it. That's what I was looking at right here. So we do come down. We close underneath it. Now I'm like, okay, let's not close back above it. But as you can see, it was kind of not listening to me. So then I go to the 2 minute and I'm like, okay, we do have this fair value gap on the 2 minute. Okay, now we also have volume balance here on the 2 minute as well. I want to see it close underneath it and then a failure to trade back above it. That's what I was looking at here on the 2 minute. So we got that. Still on the 2 minute chart here. We got that. All right, back to my entry. So that's good. I like to be at my entry here. Okay. And then right around my entry, we're just hesitating. Like, oh man, come on. Displace now. Deliver. And we're going to fast forward quite a bit because we stayed like this for quite some time. And then we ended up finally delivering down to London low. But look what happened. Look at this wick through and hit my sell side liquidity. And then look at this pullback. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't. Yes, you can say, why didn't you take profit there? It doesn't fit in my money management plan. That was like 20 points. I just can't be doing that. Especially when I have reason that I believe it's going to go further. Yeah, it sucks for it to pull back on me. But my risk is where it is. I can't go. Money management is so important. I can't stress that enough. Okay. Now I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, here we go. Well, let's see. What are we doing? Back and forth and back and forth. Now I'm like, all right, look at this little bit of liquidity we're engineering right here. Look at all these equal highs. I'm looking at it like I think price can come up and take these equal highs and then drop. And there you go, right here. But I'm like, crap. I want to see immediately rebalance this potential fair value gap. And if it does create a fair value gap right here, immediately invert it. Like that's what I need to happen. So it created it. And here's that volume balance. I extended it out and I want to see price stay under there and I want to see this get inverted immediately. And it basically did. So now I'm like, all right, now I'm feeling good. As you can see, I did pull my stop down to this swing high because price should not. If it's going to be successful, it should not take this high right here. And if it does, I want out because that means it's going to go all the way up. So, and by doing that, I was able to actually reduce my stop by 10 points right here. So now I'm in a little bit of a reduced position to take a smaller loss if I do take a loss. But this, as you can see, this shot up to take this small little liquidity engineered here. right to that volume balance, and now it's coming down. So now I'm like, yep, I'm loving this. We're about to go. Of course, it couldn't just go. It had to pull back into that inversion. Let's keep fast forwarding, and then there we go. We finally. Now, I did close it a little early because it shot down here. And right before I hit this target, my target, I went ahead and closed it because I was 3 points away, and it was just hesitating. So I was like, all that right here. Let's go ahead and close this baby out. So, yep, nice trade. As you can see, my live account made $705 total, just under eight grand for the day. And yep, that's that. And that was the end of my month because I don't trade the day of FOMC and I don't trade the day before NFP. So Friday is the first of the month. So that's it. That's a wrap. So be on the lookout. I'm going to have my new Google Sheet and Excel sheet that's updated will be out Thursday. I'm going to have a video with that. It's going to be out. It's going to be ready to use. You're not going to want to miss the updates that I made to that. And the Excel sheet, to me, is just better. It's just nicer, cleaner, smoother. But anyways, that'll be out Thursday. And then over the weekend, either the end of the week or over the weekend, I'll have my monthly review done and out on YouTube. So, all right. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being a part of this community and my community and supporting. So if you're watching this today on Tuesday, 90% off is still going on Apex. Use code WIN. That will expire tonight on Tuesday. All right. So that's all for today. Thanks for being here. And as always, trade well, everybody.